Okay, so let me just style this up a bit. Put the class name is equal to section, and we'll put the h1 post to h1 like that, and then we'll put a p here. Oops. Here are all my posts. Woohoo! And once this refreshes, we shall see. Okay, cool. So now we have to basically load in all of our posts that have been created. So for this tutorial, we're just going to be using a local array of data instead of actually using like Firebase or Firestore or using an actual SQL or Mongo database. This tutorial, I actually do have another video showing you how to connect to a WordPress API to get your post content from. So you can take a look at that video if you want to know how to actually connect to a live server or a live backend with your post. So for now, what we're going to do is within our pages, we can create a new file called post-sample.js. Okay. And I'm just going to put some sample data in here. So what this does is the default export is an object. Okay. And within this object, we have two keys, A and B. These are our posts. So these are like the IDs of a post. So whenever you're loading on the back end, you basically have, okay, so this is post 1, this is the ID of it, and this is post 2, the ID is B. Cool. Cool. Go ahead and save that. So now what we're going to do is back to our post. We're going to go ahead and import that file. So we're going to say import post from post sample.js. Actually, you don't need to do the .js. Okay. Okay. So now what we need to do, and actually we can just double check to make sure that the post is there. So we'll just do console.log post. And if we look in our inspector on our browser, actually, I'm going to get something kind of interesting. There it is. Okay. We have A and B. That's exactly what we expected. Cool. So what we're going to do now is we got to make it so for every item in our post, for every key, so there's A, that's a key, B, that's a key, these are just IDs. We're going to say for every key, we want to load a post item. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to have to do something like this. I'm going to say div.row. I'm going to say div.call.s12. Okay. So now within this nice materialized column, we're going to do what's called a map. So this is a JavaScript function. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to do post.map, and then for each post, we're going to run a function. We're going to run a function called post_generator. Okay. Which we'll get to in just 1 second. But first, we can't actually do post.map because this is not, .map only works on an array. And since you can see right here, our post is actually an object, and I specifically did this for a reason which you'll see in the future. But since we want to do a map function, which only works on array, we have to change post into some kind of map or some kind of array. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to extract all of the keys out of this object and make that an array. And then we're going to map over that. So actually, first of all, we have to put this in the curly brackets so that we can actually run JavaScript. So we're going to say object.keys, which is a ES5 function, I believe. And we can do post. And what this will do is this will just make an array of all the different keys. So it'll just be an array that looks like A, B. That's all it's going to do. And then we're going to map over that, and we're going to send that key to this function called post_generator. So this is the part where we do more than just return some JSX in a pure component. So we're going to say, instead of returning just parenthesis, we're going to do this curly bracket, and we're going to say return, and tab this over, put the bracket and that. Okay. So now, before we actually return, we're going to put the function post generator, oops, like so, and we're going to take in one parameter, which is going to be passed in through this map function, and that parameter is just going to be the post key. Since we're just passing in an object of all the keys, it makes sense just to pass in the parameter called post key. Okay. I'm sorry, so instead of post generator, you want to do function post generator, because you got to declare that it is a function in order for it to work. So now that we have the post key within post generator, so essentially what's going to happen, so for every key that is in our post, it's going to run this function which needs to return some JSX. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to just bring a card from materialize, and let's just take this card. We don't want the row, really. Well, let's bring the whole thing. So we'll bring the card in here. I think that's good. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to change this card title out, and this is just going to be, we're going to have to go into our post, which comes from here. So bracket. So we're doing JavaScript now, and not just HTML. We're going to say post, and we're going to do the bracket. Because it's an object, we're going to access, what do we want to access? We want to access the key, whichever key is passed. So we can just say, oops, post key. And within that post key, if you look within our post, within this key, we have a body and we have a title. So we're going to do the dot title. Okay. And we're going to replace this paragraph with the bracket post key and dot body. Now we can kind of shorten this up if we actually, before we return this JSX object, if we just do const post is equal to post key, like so, and we can replace these things with the post. That's all it is. Okay, so now the card action. So there's only going to be one card action, and this is essentially just going to be going to the actual post. This is going to be the link at the bottom of this card, like right here, that goes to the actual post. Okay, this is just a link. We'll just say new post. We'll get this in just a second. Okay, so one of the key things that you need to know about React is that you want to break down everything. You want to componentize everything. So this is a great example of something that would be used throughout your application. This is just a card. This is our own custom card. And we could use this multiple times throughout our application. We don't want to have to repeat this whole HTML JSX string every time. So what we can do is we can make a library component, is what I like to call them anyways. So we're going to transfer this out. So we're going to go into our components, and we're going to make a new folder in here called lib for library. And we're going to make a new file in here, and this is just a card. This is a card component. So I'm going to say card.js. And this card.js, we're going to import React from React. And what else? We're going to say const card is equal to this function, right? And then we'll go ahead and You know what? Yeah, we're gonna get rid of these things right there because we don't really need them in this case. We don't need those materialized styling, whatever you want to call them, classes. So we're gonna copy it out of there and we're gonna paste it in here. Okay. And we forgot to change the class name. So class to class name. Okay. Now, we don't have access to post.title. What we have to do is we have to pass them through as a parameter or property into the component itself. So what we can do is we could say props, and we could say, you know, props dot title, and we could say props dot body, you know, something like that. But we can actually extrapolate those two props and say title and body. And then one kind of neat thing you can do is whenever you're using a component, you can pass through the children property, children. And what this is this is anything in between two components. So we have the card and we have something goes here, and another card, and this is like in a span or something right here. This is the children. Whatever gets rendered between the two tags is what's passed through the children argument. So we're going to do the children. So whatever goes into the middle of this card is going to be our body. It's going to be the actual content of the card. So we don't need to pass through the body. We just need to pass through the children. Okay, and then we do want to have a link at the bottom of every card. It doesn't have to be mandatory, but you know, if we want a link, an action link, I would call it, and then we're going to do that. So we're going to say action. Okay, and right here we're going to go ahead and put the, well, we'll change this to link, and then we'll say 2 equals to, and then action will be an object. So we can say action dot, and then we'll just say the href. And then the actual label of the link will say action dot label, like so. And then we'll do slash link, just like that. Okay. Oops, action dot label. So now one of the, well, okay, so remember I said that we're going to put the children here instead of the body. It's just whatever's between the card. So all we have to do now is just say, let's put it in a paragraph tag, and we'll just say children. Okay. Now one kind of thing that you should know is on the demo that I've made, or this is our end goal, if you notice it actually truncates the body in here. The dot dot dot, it doesn't show the whole thing. And this is actually a CSS property. If you look at it, you'll see this text overflow ellipses. This creates this truncate effect. So, you know, if I got rid of this, you would see, and well, you still have the overflow and you have the white space. So if I got rid of the class, you would just see everything there. But we want to truncate it because we don't want to show the whole entire post when we're trying to show all of our posts. Just a sample. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in another argument, and this one's just going to be truncate, because sometimes we might want to show the whole thing, sometimes we might not. So it's called a Boolean property that we're going to pass through. It's either going to be true or false. So by default, we'll make it false so that it doesn't apply. But if truncate is there, so what we're going to do is we're going to say class name equals, and all we have to do is add the truncate class, and materialize will add all of those styles to it. So now we need to add the class truncate if the Boolean truncate is true. So in order to do that, we're just going to do truncate, which says if this is true, And question mark, this is called a ternary function, or ternary function. So it says if the first argument is true, then you're going to return this truncate. It's going to return this string into class name, and a paragraph's going to have the class of truncate. Otherwise, with this colon, it's going to be blank. It's not going to return any class. Okay, and so that will then truncate the paragraph tag if the truncate property is passed through. Great. So now one of the, I guess it's not a mandatory thing when you're starting out, but you should almost always use prop types when you're using React. Just for instances, like you don't know that if you're just quickly looking through it, you're another developer and you see, oh, actions pass through. You don't know what action is. You'll know that it's supposed to be an object that has href and label within the object. You don't know that truncate is a Boolean value that can only be true and false. So when you pass in things, if you pass in truncate as a string that says yes, it's not going to work because it's not a Boolean value. Well, that's a bad example because technically it will still work. But either way, if you pass an action as just a link, it's not going to be able to grab the href and it's going to break, and you're not going to get a very good error message. So in order to properly define what properties should be passed through, you're going to have to use what are called prop types. So prop types, it used to be part of the React official package, but it has been extrapolated, my new favorite word, into a separate external package. So we're going to say yarn add prop-types. Okay. And we'll go ahead and import it while it's doing its thing. Import. Now, this capitalization of this is very important, so make sure you just kind of look, memorize, and you'll kind of get the hang of it as we go. Dash prop types, exactly like that. Now, at the end of our component, we're going to say card dot, again, capitalization is very important, prop types, camel cased, equals to, and this is going to be an object. And so the first thing we're going to define is the title. So title is going to be prop types. Again, both are capital because it's coming directly from here. It's card.prop type. This right here is a default. It's a default property, I believe I want to call it, or default key of this card component. This is a little bit of React magic right here where you define the prop types. Where you actually say what kind of prop types it is, this is the external functionality right here. So prop types dot string. All right, so you're saying that it needs to be a string value. Children. So this is this one right here. So this is actually going to be, it's called a node. And a node is essentially anything, almost just about anything that's JavaScript. It can be a string, it can be a JSX object, it can be nearly anything. You can look at all of these. If you just go to prop types, it should show up. Yeah, it's on the official React app or React.js, but they have all the different prop types right here. They have the node in here. I think they do somewhere. Yeah. Prop types are a node. Anything. Numbers, strings, elements, and array. Because you don't know what's going to be passed in through the children. You just know you need it. Because if there isn't a children, then you really don't need a card. You shouldn't be using the card. So you're going to say children is required. The title is not required because let's say you wanted to do a post and you didn't want the title element. You just wanted stuff in there. So we're not going to make the title required. Okay. Next we have the action. So the action is going to be prop types dot shape, which is a fancy word for objects, and this is a function, and it takes in an object like that. So you're going to find what is going to be in the action. Now you don't technically have to define it, you can just leave it like this, but it's best to kind of specify what is needed out of this action. So we need the href and the label. So we're going to say href is going to be prop types dot string, and we're going to say the label is prop types dot string. Easy enough. And both of them are required if The action itself is not required, so we can call a card without having the links at the bottom, like so. If we didn't want this whole bottom section, action is not going to be with a property. But if action is passed through, then you need the href and you need the label, otherwise it's going to break. Okay, let's just end this comma right here. Put the semicolon, we're going to export default card, just like that. And let's go ahead and save it. And now back to posts. We're going to import that card. So import card from, and we are right here. So we're going to go out 2 levels and into lib/card. All right, so now we have card. So now back to where we were. For every post that we have within our post sample file, we are going to return a card. And we're going to give the title of the card is going to be equal to, brackets, we're going to say the post.title. And then we're going to say the action is equal to, remember this is an object, so we can just say object like that. And we can say the href is, this is going to be where the route, where's the actual route for a post. So I've decided, and it's probably in your best interest too, that we do something like this. Use the backtips in order to get some string interpolation going on in here. And we're going to say /post/ and we're going to do the $sign bracket in order to put in a variable here. And we're going to say, I'm going to go to the post key. So remember, this is either, in this case, A or B. So it's going to go /post/A for this first post, or /post/B for the second post. So remember, post key was passed in as the actual key, or the ID, same thing. Okay, and then we need a label. And the label is just going to be go to posts. Okay, and I believe materialize will fix the capitalization and everything, but make it look nice. Put a comment there. Let's see. Oh, we didn't actually close the card, but now within the card is going to be the body. And if we look, all it is just a text. So you probably want a lot more than just text. You're going to want HTML in there, and once you connect to a server. But for now, we're just going to go to something very simple and very basic. So we're just going to say, put in brackets, and we'll say post.body. Okay, and then we'll end the card like that. And then we'll look and see what else. We have title, children, action. That's all we had, right? So we have title, action, and then children's with whatever's in the card. Go ahead and save this. Let me put parentheses there. And make it look nice. What are we getting? Props is not defined. On line 7. Oh, silly me. We got rid of the props and just pulled it in title. I forgot to change it there. And then it says link is not defined. Oh, we didn't import it in here. So we're going to say import link from React router DOM. Like so. Okay. So we're kind of working. We're getting a couple warnings and things don't look exactly right, but the data is going through. You can see it here. So let me just fix some of this ugliness. We don't need these color classes. White is fine. Gonna do that. Okay. Well, now we have the white text, so get rid of that. Okay. So now if you notice, you get this error. It says each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop. And the reason why it should have a unique key prop is because that is how React kind of tracks which element is which and how it can easily manipulate DOM elements. So if you delete this item right here, it's going to know to remove it from the DOM based on the key that you gave it. That's just how it tracks everything. So if we look at where we are iterating over all the posts and then generating, this component, because it is what we are generating for every single post that is there, we have to add a property called key. So we're going to say key is equal to, and we're just going to give it the post key. This should be something that is unique to everything that is being passed in here. In our case, the ID or the key is going to be unique every time. So we'll just leave it like that, and then that error should go away. Cool. All right, so we're looking pretty good. Let's compare it to how it should look in the end. And oh, it looks like our truncate is not working quite as expected, and that's actually because we didn't pass the truncate property. So the truncate class was not added to this paragraph. So now if we just say truncate, if you just pass it in, now it's truncated. Cool. All right. So now the next step is going to be loading each post individually. So it looks like the links work, but nothing's going to load because the actual route has not been loaded into the application. It doesn't know what to load.